How's it going, everyone? Today it is Friday, April 12th, 2024, and let's take a look at the picks from the prior video. So I gave two day trading picks here, Google long and CVS short. So we'll take a look on how they did, and we'll see what the market had also done. So the video came out, it was 11:55. So honestly, I'd actually just missed my entry in Google. I would have liked to take it out on the breakout candle right here at 11:50 as the market was starting to confirm above VWAP. So when I took the trade, I said, hey, look, it looks like potentially a range bound day. We didn't know it was going to break out, right? We're at the top of the range. Let's just see what happens. 12:55, right? So if you waited for any sort of pullback, you can do two things. One, if you entered pretty close over here, you could actually get a price near the breakout price. So if you got in on the pullback, that was one potential entry option. Now the market breaks out over here at 1 o'clock, 1:05, right? So we're still waiting to see if this is going to hold. And now it's starting to hold. We're starting to gain some traction. We have a 1OP bullish cross, so I think anytime between 110 or 115 you could take it. So 110 is the next breakout. So I think 110 is a great entry point for here if you missed this entry point. We have some confidence in the stock. We know it's not going to fall out. And Google is doing okay. It's not like the insanely strongest stock, but it's a steady grinder. It hasn't really been too many drops. I liked how we had this opening candle. We tested the bottom, and then we were slowly grinding up the whole day. So still had some upside potential in this, and then it started to grind up higher. We got this pretty weird bar, which I think may have been, I actually don't know. Might have been just testing that prior high, right? We knew that this could be some resistance. So, but we thought, hey, look, we have a market tailwind over here. The stock has been strong. We got good volume. We got decent price action. We might have everything we need to get through this resistance. So let's say you take it at 110, right? Market's looking good. Market's looking good. And then we're staying with this stock as long as the market starts to do well. So market's basically looking very strong. And then we got the first little dip here around 255. And that's when Google dips over here. So what I would have done is, okay, it's dipping. The market's not going to it's not going to just roll over immediately. We have a decent move. There was good volume on the breakout. Google's been a strong stock, and with these steady grinders, you always have a chance to exit at a double top. So if you let's say you're in here, market's pulling back. Okay, Google's losing relative strength. We're going to take our exit on the next bounce. So you take your exit here around 3:30, right? Last 30 minutes of the day, there might be some profit taking. Get out of Google. So if you got in from, let's see, 158.59, you get over here 158.42. So that's almost dollar move. So I think Google would have been a very nice win. Let's look at CVS short. So we know that the daily chart on CVS is very nice. Now the stock was pulling back, but it was a pretty weak pullback. I liked how it was a choppy, weak move to the VWAP while the market was rallying up. And first thing is, I liked this double top here, this bearish engulfing candle at 12:25. I thought that was a pretty nice signal. Where is this? 12:25. So this was the setup. So this was a pretty decent setup. And all I really needed was like, hey, look, if we get another bar of follow through here, manage to stack another candle. We know it's not a solo, and I think we feel comfortable getting it on CVS. So we get this move up here, eat half the candle. Okay, not the worst thing in the world. Hold it. Okay, still not doing anything here. Still not doing anything. And then we actually break above through it. So now we're like, all right, well, I needed something to follow through, and I didn't quite get that follow through. So I'm not really going to be entering this trade. So here, all the way until 1:30. So 1:30, we get the first, not even like dip, right? This is like a tiny dip. At this point, the market is too strong. I don't think this bearish cycle is going to produce or do too much. So I'm not really looking to take CVS at this time at 130, 135, even though this is really an ideal setup for the stock. So I love the stock over here, but my market bias is probably a too bullish at this point. So I'm not really looking to get in on any shorts at the moment. at least for day trading. Now, if you're swing trading, I think this is a different story because we're range bound, so you're looking for relatively weak stocks during the move up in the range, and then you take profits when they go down in the range. So market's still moving up here, and we're still going up, and then we start to get the first chink over here, and this is the crazy part. I mean, literally, so it's going up, right? We're barely above VWAP. We haven't been able to hold this high, and as soon as the market gives any sign of weakness, CVS starts to tank. So it's late in the day here. This move got exhausted pretty fast. So maybe you could probably do something late day with CVS. This is 3 o'clock over here. I like this move. So I think it could probably be a small win. I don't know if I would have taken it personally, just because now this move is pretty strong. I didn't think we'd get any sort of major reversal or anything like that. But this bullish cycle did kind of produce. So in any case, I think even though CVS, like you could have totally won this trade, I'm going to count this as a no trade because I don't think I would have taken it as a day trade under the conditions that arose. Still a great stock though, and it's still looking pretty decent today. So Google was a nice win. Now let's look at what's happening in the market today. Now, fundamentally, again, nothing has changed too much since the previous video. We know that we kind of got through all the CPI, PPI, inflation kind of stuff. No Fed meeting this month. We have a Fed meeting in May. And we got mega cap tech earnings coming out, so we're watching for that later in the month. So on a technical basis, we got a HA. This could be an interesting entry point on Nike. We'll take a look at that in a second. Oh, I like this candle quite a bit. We have been moving sideways, as I've been mentioning before. The ranges have been expanding. We have this bearish hammer, and we've not really been able to get any meaningful close and erase this hammer. So we know that selling pressure is on. But we also know that there is D1 support at this level. We have been testing it many times. Let's call it somewhere here. Around 512, 512.50, 513, kind of around that area. There is D1 support. So we're kind of chopping back and forth in this range. I think the way we break out of it is earnings. There's no more major economic releases. There's no more catalysts that could really cause some volatility. So unless buyers are going to be very engaged, we know that the selling pressure is here. We also know that there's some buying pressure here. So they're kind of pairing off. I'm keeping it short term. I'm not taking a ton of positions, and I am trying to stay balanced. There are great prospects on each side. I'm not too worried about the bottom falling out. I don't think we're gonna get any sort of bullish climax. We're not really overextended because we're chopping around. It's slightly more bearish because we're below the 8 EMA and we're below the AVWAP-Q on a shorter term basis, but I'd say I'm kind of more neutral in the short term right now. The price action, if we zoom in on the past couple of days, is just wide ranges, right? We're testing the bottom end, shopping around, testing the top end, bottom end. So that's really what has been happening. Just big moves. When we can't really budge through one end, then we test the other one. So we really need to see keep it balanced, keep it short term. If you're a swing trader, I think debit spreads are you're going to be your friend, because you're going to have to wait some of these periods of non-activity and then go over here. So when we start to confirm the top of this range, we see some selling. Then I think you can take some swing, maybe like a PDS on a very weak stock. When the bottom of the range sort of holds, you can take a CDS on a very strong stock. Now, just again, keep in mind about earnings, because I think mega cap tech earnings is going to be coming out not next week, but the week after. There's a lot of stuff for those, so we know that that could be a potential mover, and I think I would just keep it light heading into those points, maybe not take too much, see what ends up happening. Now, day traders, I think there's opportunities to trade both sides over here. Keep your prospects open. I'm trying to find really excellent D1 charts, and then with clear skies or clear valleys, right? There's lots of room for the stock to move. There's no major technical D1 technical levels in the way, and then find nice steady grinders in the day that are just sort of doing their own thing. Now, if I look at what is happening today, I'll recap. My long-term fundamental bias is a 2 bullish from, scale again from -3 to 3. Long-term technical market bias is a 1 bullish, and again, it's 1 for 2 reasons. I think first, we do have some long-term buyers generally from SPY, so we haven't completely rolled over. I don't think the market's going to totally roll over on a longer-term basis, and we have a bid into earnings, so that's the other 2 reasons. And finally, the reason that I said earlier was that we're kind of through any sort of major speed bumps that could maybe influence or change the story for some of those longer-term buyers. I have support at 513, and the next level here is the 15 SMA. I have resistance around this 519, 520 level, and then the next level is the all-time high. A VWAP-Q is also providing some intraday resistance, so I would keep an eye on that. So what type of trades I'm looking for? Again, day trades. If there's an LPTE sort of day, again, 1 to 2 excellent picks. If we get any sort of trend, maybe 3 to 4 picks. Personally, it's really hard for me to manage more than 3 day trades at a single time because I'm still getting better at managing the trades and outlining the plans, and I'm writing out every single thing I want to see in the day trade, and so the writing takes a lot of time, but it's a good thing because it forces me to really consider every aspect of the trade, and also it helps me not overtrade. I think I've gotten a lot better at not overtrading. I'm not too worried about that. Like right now, me overtrading is like when I have 3 day trades in a single day. That feels like overtrading to me. It's really because I just don't have the automaticity on my trade management to really manage more than that. I think 2 is a pretty nice point for me. So what sectors are pretty strong today? Let's look at the intraday market. Energies, utilities, I saw were pretty strong. Semis, tech, discretionary were a little bit weak in the morning, although tech has been stronger on the daily chart. If we look at QQQ, you can see that it has been actually like moving slightly higher. Look at it from an HA. Well, HA is not going to show that well. It's moving slightly higher. It's got some relative strength versus SPY, right? And I think Pete had an excellent point out today. We're hugging this 50 SMA that's holding, and we're moving up higher versus the market, which has actually been moving a little bit lower. So there's strength in the tech sector. And if the market finds support, again, tech might be the one to lead the charge lower. IWM's pretty weak. TLT has been pretty decent today, but has obviously had some selling pressure. And I like to look at RSP, this equal weight one as well. That has been really tanking. So it looks like there's more of a breadth in the move down, but tech is propping up the market. And that's what's keeping it in sort of this weaker, bearish state. In terms of the market components, again, was a little bit on the bearish side today. I thought mega cap tech was weaker. Apple was pretty strong, and it has been moving, so that might have a potential for a D1 reversal. If we get some nice HE candles on Apple. VIX was up earlier today. There was some flight to safety movement, so utilities was getting some love. Staples was also getting some love, and it was pretty even between heavy buy and heavy sell. One side didn't really have any strong favor. So I was leaning a little bit more towards the bearish side on the components. Now, if I look at what happened today, so we had a gap down, and I believe it's because of some weakness in the bank earnings. If you look at the after hours chart, there was a little bit of sell-off and some risk-taking, but then we start to get a much deeper move in the latter part of the day, where the banks, I think, released their information. So we got this decent gap down, I would say, right? It's 4 points, or $4 on SPY. And the prior day action said, hey, look, there are buyers over here, so we're not going to be anything gung-ho. I was favoring the bullish side on this gap down because it's a nice risk reward. We have this bearish cycle in the open. This opening fails, and we test this D1 support. So we got some movement over here. Then we get this bearish hammer. Remember, there's a red bar, bearish hammer, and we start to grind higher. So it's actually a very similar action to yesterday. It's almost this copycat kind of thing. So I'm looking to see if we can get something above VWAP and we hold it for a couple of bars. Then I think we have some potential to get some movement later in this day. So my current market bias is mildly bullish. I'm like maybe 0 to 1. I've seen a decent amount of support. I like what I'm seeing over here. And I want to see just us to get above VWAP. If we get above VWAP, then I am a little bit more interested in trading. I think it's going to be tough to say if it's going to be trend day or range bound. Yesterday, I thought it was going to be range bound, and we ended up breaking to the upside. So that tells me that it's, I still think range bound is more likely, but I do think that there is still a good chance of upside potential if buyers are still engaged at this level. So I'm going to play it like it's range bound, and if we start to get a trend day, and again, we are confirming above VWAP and have some startup positions on, we break out, then I can start to add and then ride out those positions until the trend starts to wane. Now, what's the ideal scenario here? I think I just laid it out. Same thing as here, right? This is the ideal scenario. We probe for support, we find it, and then we have this decent grind up, and then we start to shoot up higher. If we get that on the long side, I would be a very happy camper. So right now, I'm kind of a neutral-ish. What would change my bias? Again, if you see some really nice long green candles, this would get me more bullish. So I think this sort of move gets me to more of like a 2 bullish. And if I see some long red candles, like if we blow we really have to blow through this D1 support. So if we blow through this, right, with a move something like that, we really break down through it, that would get me bearish. But until I see that, I am not going to be overly bearish. And then if we break through the low of the day, but it's an okay move, like it's like a steadier move like this, that would get me a little bit. It would also get me bearish, maybe like not as bearish as some stacked red candles, right? Stacked red candles, stacked green candles are rare. That's why they're sort of my max bullish and max bearish scenarios. More of a steady selling gets me at a good level of bullish. It tells me that there's some buyers here. And if we get sort of like a wimpy move, like this move is a little bit wimpy. So this is like a 1 bullish, right? And this is like a 1 bullish move. This is a more stronger move to the downside. So I think that's a stronger bearish action. So that's sort of the price action picks. Let's give some picks for today. I'll take a look at what I am seeing here. And there was some stocks that I really liked, and now they have perhaps fallen apart. So the first one that I liked really in the beginning of the day was Fang. I loved it here. Market was still pulling back, so I was waiting to see what Fang did. Fang ends up selling off over here, so I want to see it hold this low of the day. If it can't hold the low of the day, then I'm not really going to be interested in this trade at all, but it looks like there's going to be better picks. So I'm going to set an alert if it gets above VWAP, then I'd be interested in taking the stock if it wants to set the alert. Yeah, Nike is one that I like. It doesn't have the best D1 chart, but there is room. I think it's a decent day trade, and it's gaining strength in the shorter term. So we get a lot of trade signals in the shorter term, and we certainly have some room to this resistance level. Let's call it somewhere around here. So ATR of $2. We have, yeah, definitely about $1 of room on that. So you can see it probe down, test support, long green candle, and then steady grind higher. We started to grind higher. We're above the prior day high. We came back for the retest, and now we're good. So I definitely like Nike here for a day trade. I also like INFA Informatica. This has a much better D1 chart, but it doesn't have as great of an M5 chart. It's a little bit choppy, so you'd really want to buy on these pullbacks. Like over here, I think would be a pretty decent buying opportunity because we're probing for the low of the day. We're getting some relative strength, so that's a pretty nice move. It's just choppy, so get into here, and you could probably sell into the next leg higher. But I think that's a nice area. Again, I'm waiting for SPY to get above VWAP. So let's look at some stuff on the short side. I did like Adobe earlier today. Let's look at this D1 first. So in all these, by the way, that I tag, I always make sure that the D1s are great so that I don't have to vet them anymore. I just vet them on the M5. So look for great D1s first, tag them, and then I look up for ones that have nice M5 charts. So like Teva, for example, this has a lot of potential. It's coming back and it's testing this 50 SMA. So an HA reversal alert set. So if it actually confirms that, we get an RSI cross as well. I think Teva could be a really, really nice short. I love the price action here. This is a nice bearish reversal. You can see this double top, and then it broke through this resistance level. We are sort of at this level over here, at the bottom of the range. So there's certainly some touches at this point. But if you confirm that level again, it really ties with the AVWAP E, or sorry, AVWAP E and the 50 SMA. Confirm that. I think we got another leg lower. I mean, there's maybe some minor levels here. Nothing crazy. Really nothing crazy. That's a minor level. I'm not too worried about that. But, you know, again, any sort of market move down, we can get something going. So Teva is quite nice. Ribbon's looking pretty good. I think if it confirms this, you could maybe even take it as a swing. Still trending down while the market's moving lower, which I like. ACN is another nice one. This is actually a really excellent move. So really weak stock. It is on this trend line, which it's a balanced trend line, by the way. So I'm giving it a lot more respect. Let's actually sort it this way. So I'm gonna wait on that. MDT is a very nice breakout. Is in this horizontal move for quite a long time. Broke to the range of the downside. Let's take a look at this M5 chart. A little bit choppy, but it's hugging the 8 EMA. I like how we had this move up here. We tested for support, and then we kind of went parabolic. We're starting to grind lower while the market's going here. So love the relative weakness on this stock. I talked about Teva, I talked about Adobe. Let's look at Play. Play was a decent looking chart. Long red candles, pulling back over here. We got this green bar and then this bearish engulf. So we've got a little bit ahead of itself, has to digest all these gains, but we're holding a lot of them, which tells me that this stock is going to go down. I love this breakdown on the D1 if it's going to load. Let's see if it loads. And I'm just going to write down what are all the things that happened in the meantime. So this may take a second to load. But let me give the picks for today. Bull run was pretty good. Breakout, heavy buy. Bull. Strong D1s. All right, this might take a second to load, so I'm gonna pause the video and come back when it loads. Okay, we're back. We got the chart loaded. So here's the pick that I'm gonna give. Here's a scenario. So if we get above VWAP and we close above it, I like Nike long. If we really break through the low of the day, then I like Adobe short. So those are your picks for today. We'll take a look at how they did if they set up. And yeah, that's going to be it for the video. So thanks everyone for listening. Oh, also, before I forget, we got to look at the other picks that we have, which is the Amazon PCS. So that will be expiring worthless today. We took the 172, 170 PCS expiring this week. So expired very, very well. And we took a nice amount of profit on that trade. So we're going to mark that as a win. And I'm going to update that for March. Make sure that the March picks are looking good. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you all in the next one.